You're listening to the My Simplified Life podcast, and this is episode number 319. Welcome to the My Simplified Life podcast, a place where you will learn that your past and even your present don't define your future. Regardless of what stage of life you're in, I want you to feel inspired and encouraged to pursue your dreams, simplify your life, and start taking action. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, author of How to Get On Podcasts, the podcast matchmaker, and CEO and founder of the MLG Collective. I'm excited to share the stories and life lessons of changemakers and authors with you while taking you on my own journey. This is My Simplified Life. Hey friends, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Michelle Glogovac, and today I have a fellow persister. I've talked about the PERSIST network. You're going to hear more from persisters. That's those of us who are in this group who are trying to create a new media ecosystem and talk more about politics, about culture, about what is going on in our country. And today my guest is Lauren Lehman Carter. She is from Illinois. I wish to goodness that we had met when I was living in Chicago. She's a former event planner who is really making her voice known in this space of advocacy, activism, and making a difference and showing up as herself, as a mom, as a good human being who wants better in our country. So I can't wait for you to listen and meet Lauren. She is incredible, and I'm so grateful to call her my friend. Hello, Lauren.
Hi.
I'm so excited. We've already been talking for 2 hours, and we've decided now to let you all in on our conversation.
Now that we've stopped the tears and the excessive giggles.
Yes, even the tarot card readings. We've done it all before hitting record. So you are welcome. We saved you.
I love it.
Can
Or
you
they're going to
introduce
ask us for more. Maybe we're going to have to do another one.
That would be fine. We could do tarot card readings. You can call in and we'll just read you because I'm going to learn how to do it too. So.
I'm obsessed. I love it.
Can you introduce yourself to everyone, please?
Hi, I'm Lauren Lehman Carter, and we were just talking about how to describe what I'm doing because I no longer have a professional pitch. I don't know. I don't know. Remember when Facebook started and you could, what's your relationship status? And it could be, it's complicated. I feel like that is my relationship status with my career. I have 20 years of expertise as an event producer. I was a wedding planner for a lot of those years. And I prefer to focus on nonprofit events and under-resourced communities. And now I'm in a bit of a transition through the PERSIST network and working on a book. And soon we'll be adding podcast host to my title.
I love it. A multi-hyphenate.
Yes.
That is what you are. I love the term.
Figuring it out.
I feel like we do figure it out in our 40s. Like we get to this point and we're going, oh, wait, what was it? Oh, I'm reading Big Magic by Liz Gilbert. And last night section that I read, she says she was taking advice from like an 80-year-old who said that in your 20s and 30s, you're looking for everyone's approval. And then in your 40s, you're going, I don't need your approval. I'm going to do what I want. And then it's in your 50s and 60s that you really actually do what you want. And it just becomes better and better as you get older. And I tell my kids all the time, like, I wish I could go back to my 20s with the brain and the knowledge and the experience that I have in my 40s, because life would be different.
I feel that so much. Also, I have that book on my nightstand right now. We should do a book club.
Yes. It's been on my bookshelf for literally years.
Yeah.
And it was Angela Brown who wrote, oh my gosh, I'm totally mind blanking, but she's had 2 books come out. Olivia Strauss is running out of time. Bingo. And she was like, you just read 1 chapter a night. And then in a year, you finish that book. So that's what I've been doing, is reading 1 chapter because it's only like 2 or 3 pages. I had no idea because I never cracked open the book that they were that short. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing. But last night I read 2 chapters. I was very proud of myself. Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. No, the whole concept really speaks to me, especially when we think about seeking approval in our 20s and 30s. I am very much a recovering people pleaser. So, and I think a lot of women are, and there is something just in the water of where we swim, where we grow up, that it is baked into us to make sure everyone around us is comfortable and happy. and often to our own detriment. We don't learn how to set healthy boundaries. We don't learn how to say no when we want to say no. And then we end up overcommitting ourselves and burning out and all of the things that that entails. So I think part of me figuring out where I am now is a lot of I only knew who I was as a people pleaser and as a perfectionist and as somebody whose entire career planning weddings, planning events is focused on making everybody else happy and comfortable. And then I come home and I'm doing the same thing in my house. And then I go to family gatherings and I'm stepping all over. How am I going to say this? Do I know? Nope. I'm just going to not express that opinion. And then the minute I do express an opinion and it isn't well received, then I start this mental spiral that I'm a bad person and that I talk too much. And so I think being in this space in our 40s and not having that anymore feels really freeing and also completely terrifying.
Yeah. I want to instill in my daughter like these lessons now.
Yes,
I feel like if
exactly.
you are 9 and I can teach you how to not people please, how to stand up, how to not worry about others, then maybe you can in your 20s feel the way I do in my 40s. That's
Yeah,
my hope.
absolutely. That's beautiful. I think too, the way it's funny, I through writing my book, so I have my last chapter finished, and it's just interesting to see how do I bridge the gap between the really hard, difficult chapters where I was writing through immense grief and pain, and then there's this final chapter, and so I'm right now in that little space where I need to build a bridge from
Mm,
this really difficult part to the end. But in that end, one of the last paragraphs I have, I say that now that I've stripped away all of the people pleasing, I can really see the difference between having a heart for service and wanting to serve and protect your community and really show up for people as opposed to people pleasing and what that difference looks like.
mhm.
And I think that has been part of who I am this entire time. And so it's a really great thing to be able to see that I can hold on to that still, but also not do the people pleasing shit too.
Yes.
So,
Yes. It's boundaries. It's healthy for
yeah,
you. And like you're smiling, you light up when you talk about it. I love it.
boundaries. Boundaries and service. It's a fun. And I think that that's where through the Persist network, that's where I feel I am stepping into this advocacy space so much more fully. I have only been doing my advocacy work through my event planning career and then volunteering within my community. I was on a school board committee that it was an advisory committee that was kind of a feeder to run for school board for a while. I am definitely one of those people who is always dropping off a meal to families in need and and volunteering wherever I can, even if it's not an organization, but it's just an individual situation. And now through the Persist network, I feel so empowered to be able to really just accelerate that advocacy work and to be doing it with so many incredible humans who also have that same drive to build community, to support those around us and to make a difference and to make our world more equitable. It feels really empowering and like a special thing we've got going here.
It is. It's amazing. There's so many people, and I know I posted today of the imposter syndrome that I've felt going in, and yet I say it, and yet at the same time I don't always feel it. But
Yeah.
there's that reality check of, okay, these are some huge
Yeah.
influencers who we're all connected with, and like
Yeah.
I know your name, but you don't know my name because you certainly aren't following me, and now you do know my name because we're in a chat together
Yeah.
and like you see what I'm doing, but you're so much bigger than I am. And, that's the whole, ooh, well, should I even be saying that? Because I don't really know what I'm talking about, but we have
Right.
to be speaking up. And I feel like the Persist Network allows for us to speak up, to learn from each other, to collaborate with each other. I'm blown away when I get a collaboration request. I'm like, what? Like, Melinda Hale, you want to collab with me? What?
Right.
Lady
Right.
Fang, you want to collaborate with me? Are you sure? Did you hit the right one? Like, you
Right.
can delete that request.
Right. It's really a wild experience. And I think it just goes to show that we are all needed in this moment and beyond, because it's not just meeting the moment right now that we're in as a nation and as society, but we're building something. This is something that will grow in a way that impacts all of us, even if they are not involved within our network. I think what we're doing is creating really meaningful change, and to see that it's not an exclusive space. It's a space where we all can have a voice. I only just took my Instagram account public in October. I was private for a really long time. So it's been really interesting to go through that transition where my Instagram grid is very much pictures of my friends and my kids and my house, and we're working on renovation projects. And I just ran into somebody at my son's track meet, and they said, "What's the renovation project you guys are working on right now?" And I said, "Democracy."
I love it. Oh,
Because I don't have time to renovate a bathroom right now. But I think it's interesting to see that transition photographically in my social media presence. And now I'm still very much figuring out what is my space, because I'm very wonky, and I love like the fine minute details of policy, and I will really get into the weeds about that kind of stuff, but I might not necessarily know the ins and outs of DC politics. I don't know like who works well with who and what is that. I don't know that whole dynamic. But I do understand a lot of that, of the policy piece of it. But then there's this other side to me that is very much rooted in staying grounded and present and being true to your own voice, and to live in this authentic space and not have to constantly be masking and pretending that you are someone else or that you are fine when you're not fine. So I've been trying to post like little bits, like action items, but then also, okay, today we need to breathe because it's a lot. And then also, all right, let me tell you how this is going to affect you in real life, and trying to figure out like what resonates with people and what's actually working. And I'm finding that more of that presence of, okay, hey, we're all on the same page. This is crazy and this is overwhelming and it sucks. Let's all pause. And here's a quote to meet the moment. I'm finding that is what seems to be resonating with people more than when I sit down and I'm like, okay, let's talk about On Tyranny with Timothy Snyder, because so it's just interesting to see. And I feel like as we move through this world and I'm figuring it out, I'm figuring out the way that I'm showing up. It's the same way that we're all figuring out how we're showing up in real life and online and in professional situations.
I have so many questions that are coming from me. Well, it's funny that you mentioned On Tyranny, because Crown Publishing, who published the book, posted yesterday, I believe it was, the 20 steps that are in the book. I love it. I'm not at my desk. Otherwise I would bring it up too. And they were like, you need to share this. Like, everybody share this. And I was like, yeah, like, done. Of course, I've already shared that I've read the book. And some of the comments were, it says a lot that I'm scared to share this. And it amazes me, and yet it doesn't. Like, that's my reality check of how many people are still afraid to speak, how much more fearful this administration has made it for people to speak. I often say in a tongue-in-cheek way to my husband, I'm on a list. Be like, have the bail money ready, because I'm sure I'm on a list at some point.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yep.
And I'm a small person. Like, I don't think that I'm big enough to be someone's list that you're going to come knocking at the door, but you don't know at this point.
Right.
And we have people who could easily be deported tomorrow. You know, if
Mm-hmm.
they deported me, where would I go? I guess El Salvador, because that's where they put people who have nowhere else to go. But
Mm-hmm.
the fact that we keep showing up and saying this, you know, that whether it's you look at it as a privilege or whether we are just completely stupid and keep doing it, besides being on a list or the potential of the backlash that we could face, we just keep doing it because we know
Mm-hmm.
it has to get done.
Yeah. It's terrifying,
Yeah.
but I just recently did an event within my local event professional community. We often have networking events that are over the top, and there's a dress code and it's cocktail attire with a very specific theme. And you should see my closet. It's ridiculous. The things that I have in there that I will probably never wear again. Um, and they're beautiful and they're fun. However, there's often a lot that people go and they're showing up and pretending they've come with some sort of mask on. So one of these events was scheduled on Monday night at a hotel. I'm not going to say that
Oh,
man's name, but at his hotel in Chicago. And so some of my friends, we decided to have an alternative event for anybody who felt really opposed to participating in anything in that building. Um, and in that experience, it was so fascinating because I was finding myself really watching what I was saying. And some people that I was working with, they were not comfortable with me leaning on the advocacy piece of why we were there. We were there to raise money for the National Immigrant Justice Center. We brought in the executive director of that organization to talk to a room of event professionals about the reality of what's going on and what to do if this affects your team or an event that you're working on. And it was this really incredible conversation. And there were a few people, I think, who maybe just wanted it to be a quiet fundraiser where we raise the money and we network and it's fun and then we give them the money. But I think it is so important to continually use our voice in any way that we can. So I let them know that this is what I was planning on saying when I had the microphone. But once I got that microphone in my hands, it was I'm not going to pretend that this isn't happening. I'm not going to pretend that I'm not very deep in advocacy, and I've basically walked away from the wedding industry specifically so that I can focus more on advocacy and supporting these efforts. So I just think it is interesting. I think people are scared, people are uncomfortable because it is an uncomfortable space that we're living in. And if not us, who? If not now, when?
yes.
So,
Is there a certain, and I say this
mm,
again, tongue in cheek, like every issue is something
mm,
that gets me heated, but is there
mm.
a particular issue or something that's going on that you were like, that is what lights my fire and has me roaring? Is there that one thing or two things that you're like, that's it right there?
That's such a good question. It's hard. That's a really hard one because that's the guidance, right? They tell us to focus on like the one or two issues that you feel most passionate about. And then if we all focus on those one or two issues that we feel most passionate about, then there's enough and it's not overwhelming. It's really hard to narrow it down for me, as I'm sure for so many, if I had to choose. Um, I think, gosh, and I don't, it feels hard to even identify it because I don't want it to not be giving enough importance to the other things, but I do feel really strongly about women's rights. The Save Act is terrifying. I am deeply concerned about the direction our country has gone in terms of anti-choice. Uh, and what's happening right now, women on being kept alive just to exist as human incubators, that is deeply troubling. I'm also a survivor of sexual assault and abuse from a relationship that I was in high school. And so anything that has to do with domestic violence or SA, anything in that realm, something that's been really troubling to me is to see the way that organizations are capitulating to the administration. So, for example, RAIN is an organization that I feel really strongly about supporting and have for years. And to see them remove inclusive language off of their website targeting the LGBTQ community, who very much are in the survivor community. So to see organizations that I have looked up to, that I've donated to, that I have written about and talked about, to see them start to remove services and language that supports all of us, that's been really troubling to see. And I think that's in the do not obey in advance. Seeing that has been really hard. And so I think that's, if I were to, like, for the what my why in terms of advocacy, but I'm also really passionate about education. I'm the daughter of educators, and seeing the cuts that are happening, and the way that it's going to impact all of our children, and what that means in terms of how our society grows. So, but then, gosh, get me started on immigration, and I could go down that rabbit hole too. And do we want to talk about like campaign finance? I think the Dobbs decision, like we could go down a rabbit hole. So it's really hard to choose.
It is
That's
hard.
a very long answer.
But you got to it. And that's what I meant, is like everything is applicable at this point. And
Yeah.
I think also going back to your point of, going public and speaking out, and there's so many things. I know that for me, I now have people coming and saying, "Hey, will you say something about this?" And I'm like, of course I'll say something, but how do you want me to, like, how do I approach this? Especially when we're being fed breaking news, or here's what the Senate Dems want us to say, or here's what, we need people to understand, and you need to call your reps for this. There's so much to say and to focus on. So, I mean, I'm enlisting the help of, the people that I know are an expert in that one. I'm like, can you help me say something on this? Or can we, do quickly a live on why this is important and do that? But it becomes a lot. And I think that many also don't realize this is not our job, like
Right.
not our paying full-time jobs. Like, we have.
Where is George Soros with those checks we were supposed to allegedly all getting? Wouldn't that be nice if that rumor were true?
Wouldn't it? Yeah. I wish I got paid for all the Zoom calls, all the Signal chats, all that.
No. Even the travel. Anytime I've gone to DC, that's nobody's paying for me to go. That's me. And I think there's a balance there too, for me at least, where I am very much in this process of trying to establish my voice and figure out what that lane is. And some things hit and some things don't. And I'm not in it for the follows or the likes or the views or the metrics. I find numbers fascinating, and it's kind of exciting to see things resonate with people, because it makes you feel less alone. But through trying to figure out establishing my voice in that way, then also wanting to elevate the voices of others and to bring up the really important topics that we're paying attention to, maybe behind the scenes. How do I decide which ones, the people who are following me from my event planner life, clients whose weddings I've planned? There's a mother of a bride whose wedding I did. I couldn't even tell you how long ago, but I know that it was 2 businesses ago. And and she is still regularly watching my stories and commenting on things and in my DMs with so much support and just solidarity. So how do I communicate to those folks, the folks who are still who are just now finding me, and give them the information that I think is most important that might resonate with them, if there's an action item or if there's something that might not be on their radar, and then also establish my voice, and then also work on building the PERSIST network, and also figure out how I'm going to make money. And I wish I was a lady of leisure. I am not. What is my career going to look like? And then also write a book, and then also go to the soccer games and school pickup and make sure the laundry is done. Like, all of that is just such a how.
Yeah. I'm right there with you. Like literally in all of it. Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. And I keep saying yes. Yes, I
Right.
will do that. And that what surprises me when it comes to social media is it's surprising and yet it's not surprising because we always know that there are people watching who are
Mhm.
silent.
Yes.
And I've been so surprised when I get the silent followers who suddenly show up offline and are like, love what you're doing. That was so great. And I went, wait, what? You're watching? Oh, I
Yeah.
look at all your stuff. I'm like, oh, you click that like button. That would be cool too. Like,
Right. That'd be great.
maybe comment to let me know that I'm not just out in the ether, like talking to myself. Cause oftentimes I feel like I am just talking to
Same.
myself. Yeah. But
Same.
people are watching. And I think this goes back to those who aren't comfortable
Mhm.
talking and speaking up right now. It doesn't mean that they're not paying attention.
Right.
They just haven't figured out how to go about it in a way that feels good to them.
And they might not even feel comfortable liking a post, because what if somebody else sees that they've liked that post? Because I know I have gone to certain other accounts. Like, I know who in my like inner circle still follows Candace Owens or House and Habit or RFK Jr. Like, and I will be like, okay, I see that you're following them, but are you interacting? Are you engaging? So I do a quick scroll, and I can see who's
Yeah.
engaging in that content. So engaging with somebody's content is also kind of a declaration, because people are looking. I'm looking. And I'm trying to talk to those people who are liking House and Habits posts and who are big RFK Jr. fans and also watching every one of my stories. I think about them sometimes when I post. Okay, there might be 4 of you. I'm going to post this one thing specifically for 4 people.
And I think
And
those people forget or don't realize that we can see you.
yeah. And
We can see you watching us.
100%. And I want to be like, it's fine. Like, you're welcome. Welcome to watch and maybe learn and take something away. And I know I have grown up in an environment where we are taught not to say the hard things out loud. And we're taught to be pleasant and to be happy. And I mean, I made a whole damn career out of it. And so I think when we start showing up in a way that's real, that isn't just the pleasantries and the highlight reels and the happy family photo, like when we show up with the pain and the real world impact, that's a hard thing. And for a lot of people, watching us do that, even just watching us do it, is hard. So I'm glad that they're even still watching, because maybe the next thing might be, oh wait, that's actually happening to me too. Wait, it's happening to you and it's happening to me. I thought I was the only one. Oh, wait, what's the background of why is that happening? What are the things that I could do about it? And then the momentum can build. And because it really is, it's still about the connection. Because I think at the end of the day, there's more that we have in common than we're even aware of, because we've just been trained not to talk about it.
Yeah. Yes. So for everyone who says we can't talk politics or don't talk politics, everything is political, people. Everything. So you have to talk about it. And even when you think you're not talking about it, you're still talking about it.
Right.
You're literally talking about it. The fact that you can talk is political First
Yes,
Amendment rights. I
exactly.
think that people forget that. I was having coffee yesterday with a friend, and I'm like, literally having coffee is political. We drove on the roads, political, taxes, streets. We are sitting in an establishment who has a business license, political. Like all of these things are political. Everything we
Exactly.
do has politics tied to it. So for anyone who doesn't want to talk politics or get involved in politics, your life is politics,
You're already
however
in
you
it.
look at it. Yeah. So you
You
might
are
as well
already in
talk
it.
about it because you're living it.
Exactly. Exactly. And I think it's just such a hard thing for people to step into that space. And largely why I feel more comfortable showing up so authentically and raw in a lot of ways. Like the things that seem to be resonating with people are when I'm recording videos of myself silently, basically having like an entire existential crisis on my face and probably started crying as soon as the camera was off, or maybe I'm crying while the camera is on. And the reason I am comfortable doing that is a lot of what my book is about. Because I I had to have things stripped away, like the identity that I knew and that I had built. I had to have that stripped away and just sat there with nothing. And then it was like, all right, how do we build this back and what's important? Had I not had that experience, I think I would still be showing up, but I would be much more soft spoken about it. My account would probably still be private. I would probably not be talking to you. I would probably not know what the Persist Network is. And so I think that experience in a lot of ways was a gift for me, to show up now in this moment in the way that I am and make even just a tiny bit of difference.
You are making a difference. I'm so grateful that we've connected and that we're
Same.
persisters and
Yes.
that we've come into each other's lives. It's amazing. It's a beautiful friendship. And when you talk politics, you can make new friends too.
Absolutely true. Absolutely true. You talk politics, you make new friends, you have a 3-hour podcast meeting with tarot cards and tears.
and only 30 minutes you get to hear. So join the
It's
Persist Network and then maybe you can hear the other 2.5 hours.
exactly. Or join us for a coffee. We need to do another coffee.
Yes. Yes, we will
That
do
was
that.
fun.
Where can everybody find you and follow you and get these amazing videos that are silently crying?
My Instagram handle is my name, Lauren Lehman Carter. And my new podcast, can I drop my
Yeah,
podcast?
yeah, do it.
Super fun at parties, because the concept behind it is I will often overshare, talk about politics, talk about trauma, say things that normally people don't say. And people look at me like I am crazy and I've just sprouted another head. And then I'll, to break the tension, say, I'm sorry, I am super fun at parties. Um, so, and also I am legitimately a great time at a party and I'm an event planner. So super fun at parties. A dear friend of mine who is also an event planner, we are working on getting that started and just started teasing it out. So that is super fun at parties, both on Instagram, and Substack is coming soon.
Yay. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Friends, I encourage you to come check out the Persist Network, see what we're all about, find out how you can start using your voice to make a difference, to stand up for what you believe in, what changes you want to see. I promise you that there is this group of people who are welcoming and want to help you make a difference. Go follow Lauren. She is not just an advocacy kick ass woman and mom, but she is so much fun. She's filled with information. She is a good time. Trust me. I loved getting to know Lauren on a deeper level because we've connected as friends. We've had phone calls, we've done Instagram lives, and this was just yet another way for us to strengthen our relationship too, which I think is so important as we build communities more and more. We get to meet people, not just in our own community and our own neighborhood, but also around the country, because there are people who want to be your friend, who believe in what you're doing, who want to be your partner in all of this. So go check out the Persist Network, go follow Lauren, and join us. Make your voice heard.